are you talking about Tristan Tate? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I was just wondering what kind of girl would possibly be manipulated by them. So I just want to, ask anyone who's watching this, just.
She was a girl that he was dating. She didn't do any of the, she wasn't sex trafficked. She wasn't a video cam girl.
Yeah,
she wasn't a sex worker.
But I bet
she's a pretty girl that dated a guy. That's it. Am I right?
That's how I would love to think of it. It did not last long enough to get to any point.
Okay.
Yeah, but there are probably worlds where, not to say that like you would do horrible things, but I'm sure you can imagine, maybe not, I don't want to, but like could it have been the case that you would have made a dumb decision where you would have been somebody in Romania doing one of these things, or could you have gotten like...
Well, she didn't. She's smarter than that.
I can tell you there were conversations that we had where I could tell he was angling for me to move to Europe.
Let's get started with this first story. This is breaking news. I don't even know if you guys know about this, but drum roll, please. Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate were just released from prison. They are now on house arrest. This is breaking news that just came down the pike from the AP. So here's the news article. Andrew Tate and his brother and 2 alleged female accomplices are released on house arrest from Bucharest jail amid investigations to alleged human trafficking, rape, and crime gang offenses. Andrew Tate and his brother and 2 alleged female accomplices have been released on house arrest from Bucharest jail amid an ongoing investigation into alleged human trafficking. Tate, 36, was arrested December 29th, so today's the 31st of March, so that's 3 months ago, in Bucharest, along with Tristan, 2 Romanian women, Luana Radu and Georgina Nagzel, 32 and 28, on suspicion of several crimes. So they are now officially released. I'll give you my take, and then we can all weigh in or not weigh in. Here's the deal. I've been saying for months that these are sort of trumped up charges. Okay? I know Destiny's gonna push back a lot, which I totally cool for. And what I will say before any of us speak, these are all our opinions. We got no fucking clue what's actually happening in corrupt AF Romania, Bucharest. Well, we all know that Andrew Tate rose to fame over the last year with everything he was saying about the Matrix. A lot of what he was talking about was male improvement. And if you can reach a certain level of masculinity and manhood and alpha status, then the world can be your oyster. Most men don't reach that. Most men are not where Destiny or I am right now, or Andrew Tate certainly. So most men cannot say or do what this man has to say. He's certainly reached a point, especially with his gifted speaking abilities, athletic prowess, and some say womanizing abilities. He's reached a point where obviously his audience really wants to hear what he has to say. And I know there's a lot of people out there excited to hear that he's been released on house arrest, and there's a lot of people out there that are basically disappointed that they didn't find anything on him, and that's my final point. You've had this guy and his brother in custody for nearly 4 months. The world has been on a magnifying glass looking at what this guy's got going on, and the Romanian government has nothing. They've been officially charged with nada, for my Spanish speakers out there, right, in El Salvador. Nada. In 4 months, they have not come up with jack shit. I'm not saying that it's officially an acquittal, but if you're gonna have somebody in custody for 4 months and you've got nothing going on, it's kind of like a little evidence that maybe it was sort of corruption going on there and they're just looking for charges. So with that being said, I know Destiny is chomping at the bit to weigh in on this. So Destiny, give us your opinion. Do you think are you happy to see Tate out? Are you disappointed? Do you want him to stay in jail?
I'm going to say
you want him rotting in a cell? What do you want?
From the very beginning,
go ahead,
you have
sir.
to wait for the process to play itself out.
Okay.
Half of what you're saying is not true. He hasn't been released. They've been released to house arrest.
Released on house arrest.
Yeah, but they're still detained, same as they were before. So they're
technically he has been released from prison.
Sure,
he's on house arrest.
He's still detained in such that an investigation is still ongoing.
Touché.
Number one.
Yes.
Number two, we still don't know if they have charges for them. They could still be waiting to charge them until they finish their investigation. But then number three, and I'll repeat again, you just have to wait for the investigation to play itself out. I think it's weird that all of the people that are big Tate fans are saying that this is like a big victory for them, because if all the charges were trumped up and it was some huge conspiracy, why are they getting released now? Wouldn't they have kept them for the whole 180 days? Like, if it is the case that they do their investigation, they're released to house arrest, and then in 30 days, they're completely released and there's no charges, what happened to all of the Matrix is locking them up and it's trumped up charges and blah, blah, blah. If that was the case, why wouldn't they have kept them for the full 180 days or like fake charges and just charge them with something not real?
Isn't that a little counterintuitive to what you're saying? That possibly they're like, we got nothing on this guy. So the longer that we keep him in there, the more foolish we're going to look. So let's just put him on house arrest. Let's acknowledge that we have nothing, but we're not going to just completely acquit him. So we'll put him out there, we'll put him on house arrest, and we'll slow play this, almost like slow playing the news, like let's roll this thing out. All right, hey, charges have been dropped, but this is the big news. So when they do drop charges, potentially, hypothetically, then it won't be that grandiose.
Sure. You ever talk to people that invest in stocks, like individual stocks?
All the time.
It's similar to gambling in that you can invent any reason to buy a stock if you really want to. It might be fundamentals of a company. It might be maybe somebody's going to say something about a company. Maybe like you can always find a reason to do what you want to do if you're really trying to bullshit your way there. I feel like when it comes to the Tates, anything can happen, and it's going to be further justification of the conspiracy against him. So if they would have held him longer, it's because the trumped up charges and the corrupt Romanian government were trying to hold him for too long to maximize how much time they spend away from their kids. If they released them, well, it's because it was all trumped up in the very beginning, and they didn't have real charges, and now they're trying to release them to house arrest. If they do charge them, well, it's going to be the fake Matrix is coming after. Like, if they convict them, then it's going to be absolutely the fake Matrix. If they get charged and then they don't get convicted, well, it's because the charges were charged. Like, literally, no matter what happens, there's always like a reason why it was like the Matrix. What if it was the case that there's a legitimate investigation? They have or haven't found enough to charge him yet. We don't know, but maybe they do find enough, and maybe they don't. But maybe it started with like good impetus. Is that possible, or is that just like it's unfathomable to think?
I think anyone would be foolish to say anything's not possible at this point. Nobody knows anything.
Well, yeah,
this
but you're clearly leaning into a side where it's like, well,
I'm leaning into a side, and let's play a game that's called odds, right? Odds that he's guilty and odds that he's innocent. So these are odds. I'm going with odds that there's 90% chance that he's innocent.
Wait. Meaning, is it odds?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you mean that he's like actually innocent, or that he's like acquitted or like charged with a crime?
I guess both, because I mean, well, essentially,
I would say the majority of Tate fans, if he got convicted of a crime, they'd still say he's innocent, right?
Well, that to me, that's like we just talked about this off camera about like the famous Donald Trump situation. Not that I'm equating Donald Trump to Andrew Tate, but I could literally murder somebody, shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, and I wouldn't lose a vote. It's like. Well, you just murdered somebody. You'd probably lose something. You're innocent at that point. Yeah, right. You lose that guy's vote for sure. Destiny, but this is my speculation, is that, remember the story in Greek mythology, Icarus flew too close to the sun, right? Yes. That he flew too close to the sun, and his wings were melted off, and he fell. I think Andrew Tate rose to fame so quickly, along with his brother, but specifically Andrew, rose to fame so quickly, called out the wrong people, called out the Matrix and the government and women and this. But I think, the foundation of why he's being arrested right now is that he called out the Romanian government, essentially saying, every country's corrupt. I just love the fact that in Romania, it's even more corrupt, and I can just pay my way out of this. Some federal prosecutor in Bucharest, Romania was like, don't think so, my friend. Let me show you what I told you. Boom, book him, Dano. So I think they basically said, let's throw the book at this guy. And they arrested him. And they're scrambling at this point for like, what can we find? What can we find? What can we find? What can we find? All right, we've got nothing. And to your point, they could have easily just kept him because I think legally not any of us are Romanian fucking government authorities here, but they legally could have kept him till end of June, I want to say, 180 days, but they didn't. So I'm going with odds that he's 90% innocent, and then there's a small chance that they might find something. What are your odds?
When you say odds on that, do you mean like really? Like if I would have bet you like $1,000, you'd pay me $10,000 if I was right. I'd give you $1,000 if I was wrong. You'd do like 9 to 1. I'm just curious. When you say 90%, you really feel...
Are you a Vegas bookie right now? You can break my legs if I don't pay? What's happening, Destiny?
Those are big odds.
I know you roll with some heavy hitters on the center-left camp. I don't need Sam Bankman-Fried coming out collecting his dough.
You said 90%. You gave
What are your odds that he's acquitted and this is...
Based on everything that I've seen from him, I feel like there's a decent chance he'll get charged and convicted. That's what I feel.
So give me some odds.
So I would lean like 65, 70% that he would get...
That he's guilty, convicted... So there's a 30% chance in your world that he's innocent.
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies. Okay, we're talking about Andrew and Tristan here because I think if one goes down, they both go down. We'll see. I see you're doing a lot of nodding, Flo. Let's have you weigh in on this. By the way, have you followed this story at all? Are you a fan? Did you hate Andrew Tate?
On and off. I don't hate him.
Yeah.
I'm on and off because I feel like we can't really trust everything that we see on social media. It is what it is.
Yep.
Can we hear me better?
Yes. Flip it like this. Yep. Go ahead.
All right. So I want to say 50-50 with the case. Like I said, I've followed it on and off. I haven't been on it entirely. But what I can say is whenever someone is guilty, they are guilty. Whenever someone is innocent, they are innocent until proven guilty. So it is what it is. I think I do agree with Destiny here when he was saying that we just have to let it play out, see how it works. But even then, there's been people that have been convicted in a fake scenario and they've wasted their lives. There was actually someone in Florida, I believe he was convicted for like 38 years. And he was released and they were like, oh, sorry, our mistake.
Yeah,
well, that's
insane.
38 years of his life that he's not going to get back. And, so it's really just a matter of time and one of those situations where you can't trust all that we see.
What you're saying is if it can happen in America, corruption can happen or just wrongful convictions can happen anywhere.
I agree.
So what are your odds if you're going to play this game that he's innocent versus guilty?
I'll do 50-50. I'll do 50.
Way to take the easy way out.
We're gonna
flip a coin. Rebecca Barrett in the house. I know this is a story you follow pretty closely. Not like every day, but I'm sure you've got some feelings. What do you think?
I actually haven't been following this story after the fact. I don't know. When he went to prison, I was like, okay. I was just like, well, that's what happened.
Docile Rebecca, okay. Doesn't affect me.
No. It doesn't affect me.
Correct.
I would say 80-20. He's acquitted, 80%.
Okay, so you're more closer to my camp than the Destiny camp.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we'll see what happens. I always want to wait until we have a conviction because, the public opinion is, they already made their verdict, right? Like, we already know, just like Destiny said, people that think it's a conspiracy theory is going to say, oh, whatever happens, it's still a conspiracy theory. People that want to see him in prison or want to see them in prison, whatever, like, they're going to be mad whatever happens, I think. People are going to be mad regardless, so we'll just wait and see.
Who's going to be the most upset if he's found innocent?
That he's found innocent, the people that hate him the most.
Who do you think hates him the most?
Probably women. I don't know. Probably women, I think.
Yeah, Destiny, who do you think hates him the most?
Me.
Why do you hate him so much?
Because he's like a garbage human being. It's just the easiest person in the world to hate.
My question is, will he be able to live stream on house arrest?
He should be able to, right?
We'll see. We'll see about
That's
that.
the only thing I'm curious about is he going to start doing his lives again? Because he's going to be making money at home.
All right, so here's a question. If he is able to live stream, will he be as popular as he was?
More.
More popular or less popular?
More.
Even more.
So you think that this is going to be something that's going to backfire against the people that want to see his downfall?
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So he's only going to come back stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Destiny,
people
would you
wanna
agree to that as well?
If just as
I know
somebody
we
that's-
know you're not tuning
Yeah,
into his
no,
live
as somebody
stream.
that's been in the internet for a long time,
Yes.
this is like my feeling. My
Yeah.
feeling is that when he comes back immediately, he'll get really popular. But I feel like we're kind of moving on from a lot of like the big red pill explosive popularity stuff. So unless he changes up and starts talking about other stuff, I feel like it's going to wane a little
Do
bit.
you think he will change things up?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know how long. He's only been in internet content like for what, like a year or two?
A couple years, yeah.
Yeah, surviving.
But he
for a
was
long-
doing stuff.
He was doing non-internet stuff. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the question is, will he remain like politically, or not politically, like popular on social media? Finding people. I've been doing this for 12 years. Every like 3 years, it's a whole new cast and crew that comes in and out because it's really hard for people to keep things like fresh. And you can find a lot of YouTube channels where people have 2, 3, 4, 5 million subs that post videos for like 15,000 viewers. So yeah, I feel like when he comes out initially, especially if he's streaming under house arrest, those are going to be huge streams.
So-
but then I feel like just in general, like the red pill stuff is kind of going, and we're going to kind of see what the next phase of internet content is.
And
That's
so
the feeling, but-
one quick question, and we'll come to Brody. I like what you're saying because you're saying that every couple of years you kind of got to reinvent yourself.
Yes.
If you're doing the same thing you were doing 12 years ago.
Nobody does that. Nobody was doing what they were doing 5 years ago and is like still popular.
Gotcha.
Like,
So give
really-
me a little timeline for Destiny here. So 12 years you're doing what? 10 years ago what? 5 years ago what? Now versus today.
12 years ago I started playing StarCraft 2. That was like the start of streaming. I did that for a few years. Then I kind of broke out and did like League of Legends / like variety games.
So you were doing all gaming stuff
Yeah,
12
all
years
games.
ago.
I did that to be more like a personality rather than just like
no
professional
political
StarCraft.
stuff, no red pill, blue pill stuff at all at that point.
No, and then
Got it.
2016 I started doing political stuff, and then I
Well,
was
that
like
was at the height of the Trump
stuff,
election.
yeah.
Got it.
And I was like the first like left-leaning like debate bro, so big asshole, like you. And then no, I'm just kidding. You're nice.
Subtle jab.
And then like 2019, 2020, and onwards, I've kind of like mellowed out as all men do as they age, and now I'm kind of the more like empathetic, compassionate, don't scream at people approach.
Nice.
That's
And you
like-
have and you're a father now.
Yeah, well, for 12 years, so been a father.
Okay, got it. Well, not when you started, right?
When I started being a father?
No, not when you started doing YouTube content.
Yeah, he
It was
said
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
All right, listen,
When
that's
my-
not my thing, guys. I'm just trying to give you a little shout out right here.
In 2010, I got my first paycheck for, it was like $203. And I mathed
Ballin'.
out. Yeah, I mathed out quickly because I was doing carpet cleaning. I was working, it was like 13-day stretches, every other Sunday off, fucking horrible. And when I saw my first paycheck from Justin TV back then, I did the math and I was like, if I did this full time, I'd make about as much money as I make carpet cleaning, but it wouldn't be as miserable.
Got it.
So, but my kid's mom was pregnant then, so I went and told the boss, oh my God, I think she's going to deliver early, I need to quit. And then I just stopped that job.
Wait, so just to tie the loose ends together here.
Yeah.
You're basically saying when Andrew Tate does come out, because you believe he's innocent, he's going to need to reinvent himself soon.
Yeah, I think you have to do something more. I think people are going to get tired out of
Got
like
it.
the Matrix.
Yeah, I don't
stuff.
object to that.
Even Trump, to some extent, has had to kind of do that. Like you saw him like go really
I don't
hard
think
on
he's
the
reinventing himself.
Well, no, but like I think that people got fatigued about crying about the election, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he as of kind of recently, he's gotten off of that and he's like making fun of DeSantis and he's kind of like moved on from
Yeah.
other things a little bit. But
So-
if he does that for another few more years, like people are gonna be like, bro, you gotta
Lesson
move on.
out there is if you're still doing the exact same thing you were doing 10, 15, 5 years ago for that matter, you got to switch it up. It's getting stale. You got to
Yeah.
reinvent yourself.
For
no
sure.
doubt. Brody, you want to weigh in on this? What are the odds that he's innocent, guilty? Do you have any strong feelings on this that you want to get off your chest?
Okay. So for transparency's sake, I briefly dated Tristan Tate, like maybe 2.5 years ago before they rose to fame. So you can imagine what that's been like, watching everything go down. It's hard for me to have an opinion because of that. But I would probably say that if you take whatever they say for face value, then it would be really easy to arrest them. But if you believe everything that they say, then that's on you. Like, I think it's kind of,
You're saying that they're kind of playing a caricature?
I don't know if it's a character. I didn't spend enough time with them to know. It's hard for me to say that I have a negative opinion because it didn't end well between me and Tristan. So I don't want to speak out of emotion.
Okay.
But I will say that I think looking back at conversations that I've had and then seeing what has happened, what has transpired, I think back and I think like, man, like, could that have been an attempt to bring me over there? So that's something that I have considered. That being said, I also think that there has been, sorry that I'm emotional. It's,
No, it's okay. Get it off your chest.
yeah, no, it's just something I look at it and I try to be level-headed. So I think like innocent until proven guilty. I'm not one to villainize anyone. And I also think that him being in prison has also deified him and made him a martyr. So I think that him getting out of this and going and doing live streams, I think he's going to blow up and be even more successful. I think there's a reason that society has a need for a Tristan Tate and an Andrew Tate.
What do you think that need is exactly?
I think it's a need to express masculinity, and I think it's a need to. I think that in Western society specifically, men are being told that they're not supposed to be masculine, and I think that their hypermasculinity is an antidote to that for some men. That being said, I think that it is to a point where it's too much. Saying like that you are comfortable beating women, or saying that you are going to use tactics of abuse on women so that they don't leave or so that they can make you money, I don't see that as traditional masculinity. So that's where I have a problem with it. And I should say that when I way back when I was like 21 at the time. When I was dating him, I didn't know enough about him. I was so starstruck. I just saw this really powerful, strong man who had a bunch of other powerful people around him. So that was, to me, really exciting. But the minute that I learned about all of the other stuff, about how he has a girlfriend in every other state, that was for me when it was no longer even a possibility that we would be together.
So it wasn't attractive to you that he had other women other places. Did you think that
It was
you were the only girl at
disappointing.
the point?
At that point, I did. I didn't. I was really naive, obviously.
You're 21. I mean,
they didn't have an online presence the same way that they do now.
and how did you guys meet initially?
We met.
Don't
through,
tell me it was at a yacht in Miami.
It was at a yacht in Miami. It was through Fresh and Fit.
Can't make this up. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So it was at Fresh and Fit,
Yeah.
yacht party, Miami. You
Yeah, and
met.
it was
Okay.
like- it
And he
was-
treated you well? At least initially?
Was like, he told me immediately, like, I was so stupid. I'm so embarrassed to even talk about this. I never thought I would talk about this publicly.
Well, you're
I'm
there
like
now,
red.
so just get it off your chest. The world's going to be better for it.
I've seen him speak in interviews since, and I've
Mm-hmm.
seen him explain the tactics that he uses. And I've seen, I'm sad. I'm sorry. This is so embarrassing. I cry all the time, by the way. It's like not even, it's no big deal. So he really made me feel loved. And then he flipped like that.
Can't it be said that that's common in a lot of relationships, right? Like, no, you don't think so? You don't think a guy, you don't think guys in general will tell girls what they want to hear, and then once they get what they want,
the jokes that I said on my
they kind of
stream.
flip. Go ahead.
Without getting like too deep in all this, because I don't want to trash everybody, okay? When I listen to like the dating advice and everything given by like the red pill community, most of it is like the most like virgin-y incel shit I've ever heard in my life. Like the idea that like one guy can juggle 5 women and they'll feel like more competitive for it is like bullshit. But if you watch Tristan's videos on picking up women and the strategies that he talks about, he is very clearly very experienced at what he does. But it's not like the normal of like you know you're trying your best when you're like meeting a girl initially. It is like a whole series of like tactics that are like optimized to like take advantage of somebody's like vulnerabilities and to make them feel as special as possible in as short amount of time as possible, while like not really being forthcoming with like your intentions.
Yeah, but I got to tell you guys, let's just put Tristan Tate aside. There's a whole fucking realm of books and categories from pickup artists that is dedicated to this exact subject.
What's the
so
difference
to basically villainize and whether it's Tristan or Andrew or any one particular guys, like I always say this all the time, guys want women. Women, girls just want to have fun. Fun costs money. So men need to go make money. And why do men need to go make money? Because men want women. There goes the circle of life. So men are constantly reading books and watching videos in order to improve getting women. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
There's a difference when it's misleading, right?
How do you mean misleading?
Yeah.
As in, if I tell you that like you're the most, like if you're fucking a girl in the middle of fucking her, you find out that she's got a body count of 10,000, right? How do you feel?
It's the biggest whore in the world, yeah.
Sure, yeah, and it'd probably be a horror to you, right? Well, if some guy is talking to you in a particular way and you feel like you're a special person, and then you find out he said the same shit to 100 other women in the past month, it's the same feeling, right?
Well, let's remove Brody here because you're 25 now, 24?
I'm almost 25 now.
Okay,
Yeah.
she's an amazing person. This is 4 years ago. She's way better for it. She's beautiful, amazing girl. So let's just move Brody aside.
It's okay. I was involved. There was.
You have experience with
This
this,
is one
but
of the
well, here's what I
difficult-
want to say about this. Then I'll
Yeah.
come to you. Men, you know the old adage: women fall in love with their ears.
Wait, stop.
Men fall in love with their eyes.
Yeah, don't-
Men
stop the
like
adage.
really
We need the
pretty
old
women.
adages, yeah.
What do you mean? That's a common.
Yeah, it's like a way to avoid the conversation, right? I
So
don't
what-
care about the old adage. Listen, I do a thing where if I'm really into a person, everybody does this. Every guy does this. Every girl does it.
What I'm
You-
saying
you
is
really
men
have to do
men lie and women lie. Men lie with their mouth. Women lie visually. You ain't that tall. Your heels. You got heels. You were 5'3". Now you're 5'6". Your titties ain't that big. You have a C cup. Now it's a fucking triple D
Yeah,
cup.
but as a guy, you
get
know they're
fake
wearing
eyelashes,
makeup.
You get
If
face
you really think a
extensions,
woman looks like
you
that,
get
that's
a tummy
your
tuck.
fault.
You get
Sure. Okay.
like women will lie visually, and men will lie verbally. That whether that's Tate or whoever, that's just human nature.
Do you think any of these 3 women right now aren't wearing makeup?
I think they're all wearing makeup.
Okay,
like
so
this one.
when you say that, when you say they lie visually, we know that's part of like the social accepted thing. Is that like you're wearing makeup, you're wearing high heels. You can see who's got high heels on, right? It's not like a deception, right? You know what's going on. But when a guy is trying to misrepresent to a girl that there's like he's like reserving himself for a special monogamous relationship and he's got like some plans in the future, but he's only doing that. If you want to talk about adages, we have a name for that. It's called a fuckboy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what that is. It's not just a way. You don't get women by being a fuckboy. You play women by being a fuckboy, right? If you want to be really romantic in the beginning of a relationship and that kind of falls off because you suck at like maintaining it, that's a fundamentally different thing than I've got like explicit strategies that I use to try to get a woman to fall in love with me so that I can fuck her and get what I want and then ditch her in like
Well,
2
let me
months,
ask you this,
right?
Destiny.
Yeah.
And you're a pretty straightforward guy.
Of course.
Are you trying to tell me you've never used a pickup line? You've never told a girl, hey, by the way, I'm pretty big on Twitch over here. I got my YouTube. You've never used anything to basically meander your way into a woman's heart just a little? I'm sure you have.
There would be a difference between me going to a girl and be like, hey, I'm big on YouTube, blah, 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 versus like, hey, I'm gonna like dump my wife and like live with you. Those are two fundamentally
Well,
different
that's an
things.
extreme, but I hear
no,
what
that's
you're
not an
going. Yeah.
extreme. That is the level of like playing we're talking about, right? If you look at, I can't speak to her situation, but if
Okay.
you look at like the past logs, tons of them between Tristan, Andrew, and the girls they talk to, a lot of it is represented like that. I need you to be loyal to me. I need to make sure that you love me more than anyone else. I need to make sure that you're going to be there for me, and I'll be there for you as much as you want. You're going to be the only girl. Like they talk about these things, and they get
Love
other girls.
bombing, I believe, is
no,
the phrase.
it's not love bombing.
Okay.
It's
hard to
deception
say.
and lying.
It's hard to,
All right, let's let Brody get a
go
word
ahead,
in.
it's hard to admit that you've been manipulated when it's shameful to be a person that was manipulated, even though the person that manipulated you is online talking about how he manipulates people like you. So and then on top of that, all of the top G fans who, by the way, after we dated, Tristan very kindly posted a video where he was talking about me. And so all of his fans ended up bombarding me and slut shaming me, which I hate that term. I'm so independent, and I'm annoyed when girls are easily manipulated, and then to have that happen to me, and to then have all this like online. It's.
So what do you want the world to know? Since this is a very personal issue, we're basically weighing in. Have any of you
I'm
guys ever
embarrassed
met?
that it's even making me emotional.
Okay.
That's to that extent.
I don't think this is affecting your life, so I don't.
I also I think like the girls that worked for them and put themselves in that situation, at least within a week or two, I was like, wait a minute, something's off here. This is not okay. Something's not right here. I look at the girls that got into that situation where they're in Romania, and I don't know whether or not they're sex trafficked, and I can't make any. What I do know is that there's definitely manipulation going on, but manipulation is not illegal. So.
Valid point.
Yeah, it's not illegal. I look at those girls and I think it's your responsibility.
For sex trafficking, it is. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good point.
Anyway.
But that's what we can't quite prove yet. But
Brody, because we'll wrap up because we got a lot of stuff we got to cover today. Anything else you want to get off your chest that you want to just so you're at peace with the situation? Because obviously it's very brave of you to just put your shit out there like this.
I was not planning on speaking.
I know
about
you weren't.
this.
You didn't have to, and you wanted to, and I respect that. Final thoughts before we move on, because we're not going to spend the whole episode on this.
I guess I'll just say, I just want to share one more thing that happened since I dated Tristan. I dated somebody new. I really liked him. We were dating for a long time, and when Tristan and Andrew got sent to prison, I called my boyfriend. I was like, this is crazy. Like, this guy that I dated is in prison, and my boyfriend said to me, are you talking about Tristan Tate? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I was just wondering what kind of girl would possibly be manipulated by them. So I just want to ask anyone who's watching this, just this is so pathetic. I'm so embarrassed. I'm fine. Just try not to judge. It's not something I'm proud of.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, and this is from a guy that likes women. Okay, I'm just Destiny. Go with me for a second
I'm
here.
sorry, yeah. From
Go
a
with
guy
me
that
for a
likes
second.
women. Yeah, go ahead.
There's way worse dudes that you can be affiliated with and be dating. Like, not to dick ride or anything like that. Those guys got money, they're good looking, they're well spoken, they've got a lot going on for them. They treat women for the most part with respect. I get it, alleged. So don't be ashamed of dating a top G Like if you were like, I dated fucking Charles Manson, I'm like,
Imagine-
holy shit, bitch.
imagine
Like, what are you
being
doing? But like,
Imagine
I
being
wouldn't be
bombarded,
ashamed.
constantly bombarded with videos. And by the way, I'm relatively conservative leaning.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being bombarded with content about how your ex manipulates women. That's
Mm-hmm.
my experience since they've been.
Well, I'll tell you this. Have you ever spoken about this in public like this?
No, never.
You got it off your chest, and you're gonna be a lot better for it. Like, you move on. This is 4 years ago. You're good to go.
It's a little less, but yeah.
Destiny, you're just like, it's like a kid in a candy store over there.
It's
What
just
do you
like,
want to say, buddy?
I'm sorry, but when we did this episode with like pearly things and shit here, it's like the perfect difference between like a woman is like, I got manipulated by a person. It feels really shitty. I feel like I was misled. And then like the guy, like the red pill side is like, but bro, he had a lot of money and he was like fucking famous. Like, isn't that awesome? And it's just like, it's the perfect like dichotomy between like what is actually happening in the real world. Whereas like, how do red pill people like sell
Clearly
the idea?
not
It's like,
awesome, but what I'm saying is like, I wouldn't be ashamed of dating a. That's like saying, and I'm not making this exact comparison. It's like, how many young girls does Leonardo DiCaprio date? Okay. You know, the whole thing with Leonardo DiCaprio is like, once they turn 25, turn them back in. You know, there's a line of women who are 25, 26 years old. They're like, fucking Leo, I thought he told me he loved me. And it's like, yo, girl, it's fucking
but then-
Leonardo DiCaprio.
but then again-
and that girl is like, well, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, it's not some C-list retarded actor out there. Like, you dated Leonardo DiCaprio.
Okay,
Okay,
I
what
don't
I'm
wanna
saying
dive
is
in.
like, there's
No,
levels
it's not-
to this
okay,
game.
Hold on. We do this as long as you want, okay? It's not even remotely the same, okay? The difference is that now this is a guess. I don't know how Leo runs his shit, but my guess is when you're getting fixed with Leonardo DiCaprio, you know what you're in for. You know what you're signing up for. The whole way that the Tates were so successful in doing what they did, though, was the constant deception and gaslighting about what they were doing. It was that this was the one girl they were talking to, that they had one future for this person. The other girls didn't mean anything. They were just employees. They weren't involved in anything or whatever. That you're going to be the one. That's the difference. If Leo was saying that to girls, then that would be fucked up. It would be wrong.
Fair
But
enough. And I
that's-
will say
think-
this, and just to Brody's credit here, she was a girl that he was dating. She didn't do any of the. She wasn't sex trafficked. She wasn't a video cam girl.
Yeah,
she
but
wasn't
I
a
bet
sex
in-
worker.
but I bet
she's
her-
a pretty girl that dated a guy. That's it. Am I right?
That's how I would love to think of it. It did not last long enough to get to any point.
Okay.
where
Yeah,
it
but
was
there are
like-
probably worlds where, not to say that like you would do horrible things, but I'm sure you can imagine, maybe not. I don't want to, but like, fuck, like, could it have been the case that you would have made a dumb decision where you would have been somebody in Romania doing one of these things, or could you have gotten like?
Well, she
I
didn't.
think
She's
like,
smarter
can-
than that.
I can tell you there were
yeah.
conversations that we had where I could tell he was
Angling for it?
angling for me to move to Europe, and you know, a quick Google search and I ended it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Google search of seeing a few of his interviews, and I messaged him something like, "Can we talk about this?" He didn't want to talk about it, so that was it.
All right, guys, we ready to move on? Anything you want to say? Final word.
I'm just worried about the fallout, but it's all good.
I think you're going to be better for it. Guys, if you're watching out there, be nice to Brody. She's a good human and a
It's
lovely
the
lady.
internet. Say what you
Let's
want.
clap it up for Brody for just
It's the
being
internet. It is what
brave.
it
Thank
is.
you about that.
Yes.